with regenerative treatments, or obviously the benefits of infrared or saunas, it is talking about increased blood flow, a healthy blood flow.
And then another group of mice they put in little mouse saunas for the same exact amount of time. The mice lost the same amount of fat with just the sauna, no exercise, compared to the mice that ran on the treadmill.
So, welcome to the podcast with me, your host, Dr. Debra Durst, and my co host, Faraday.
Hey guys, Faraday Golombieski, nurse practitioner here at Revitalize MD. And today we have a special guest with us, and I'll let Dr. Durst introduce her.
So, Dr. Jenna Greenfield is with High Tech, and High Tech is a far infrared sauna. And Dr. Greenfield is going to talk to us about the benefits of that. And again, sauna and all the benefits. And Dr. Greenfield, I'll let you say a few words for us.
Sure, yeah. I'm the medical director here at High Tech Health. So doing tons of research on benefits, safety, all the research on far infrared saunas. There are so many incredible benefits. When we heat our body, we increase these proteins in our cells called heat shock proteins. Basically, their job is to repair all the other proteins in the cells. So it really, benefits every organ, every tissue. Tons of research on cardiovascular benefits, significantly reduces your risk of heart disease, decreases inflammation. There's studies showing that regular sauna users have a significantly lower incidence of dementia. So I'm really widespread health benefits.
So the cognitive benefits are there as well.
Cognitive mood. Yep.
So, and just to give everyone a little history, again, I bought my first infrared sauna way back. It was, I don't know, 2017, and it was a high tech sauna. And again, I was just learning the difference between red light therapy and infrared versus
Blue
regular
light.
sauna. And
Yep.
yeah, so all kinds of, so I did, blog that kind of explained that. But
Mhm.
we also get a ton of questions on that every day. And I love
Yeah.
my sauna.
Mhm.
And so then we reached back out because I wanted to hear more and let you guys express it to the patients as we get questions on it. But when we're talking about saunas, I still think people get confused at,
Yeah.
Yes.
what is like, are all the studies related to just regular sauna or
Mhm.
infrared? What's the
Wet
difference?
sauna,
And
dry
Yep.
sauna, what
Yep.
temperatures, how long do we get,
Yep.
so maybe, yeah, just touching on the
growth hormone
difference.
benefits?
Yeah. Touching on the
Mhm.
difference between like the regular sauna, which are some of the
Mhm.
studies, right? And infrared. What is the difference between the two?
Sure, sure. So a traditional sauna just heats you by heating the air. They're typically used at much higher temperatures, 180s, 190s, 200 even. In an infrared sauna, the infrared heats us directly without heating the air as much. So you get kind of a faster and a better heating at much lower air temperatures. So you can picture like the infrared is what makes the sun feel warm even when the air is cold. So I use the kind of analogy, picture you're outside on a hot day, it's 100 degrees and you're in the shade. That would be like a traditional sauna. And then you step into the sun and now the air is the same temperature, but now you have the infrared from the sun in addition. So it feels much hotter. So infrared saunas are typically used around 130. All the studies on the benefits are all between the low 120s and 140s, kind of a typical range that they're used at, and you get the same increase in body temperature. Some people find them more comfortable because then the air you're breathing isn't as hot, but you get all the same benefits.
And
What
that's
about time frame? How much time do you need to be spending
Yeah,
into the
I mean,
sauna?
based on the studies on the benefits, they're generally some as low as 15 minutes, some, up to 30. We usually say shoot for 20 to 30 minutes. It's kind of enough to get a couple degrees bump in your core body temperature. And we've actually done our own little experiments with that, taking our temperature in the sauna. Usually you get a couple degrees bump within about 20 to 30 minutes.
Is that what you need really for the body to start seeing some
Mhm.
change?
Yep, based on the study, yep. About, about 1.5 to 2 degrees, you'll start getting the benefits. Yep.
And Faraday asked a good question, or at least for clarification, because I think when we talk about regular saunas and they talk about dry versus not, it
Mhm.
really still is not a dry sauna, a regular sauna. because there's more moisture in it, correct? But it's still regular does mean dry or moist. It's not like a steam room. It's a sauna.
Not a steam room, but most traditional saunas are like with the hot rocks and you do pour the
Pour
water
your
over the
water
rock. And
over.
most
Yeah.
of them do have some steam. It's not quite the same as a steam room, but
Just more
yeah,
moisture,
infrared
probably.
saunas are completely dry.
Yeah, I think that as I was researching it a little more, again, it's infrared versus regular sauna, which is technically dry but has more moisture. Is that fair
Yeah,
to say than
yeah,
an infrared?
yeah.
And then again, I go back to the basic. So people think because it's infrared, you have to see red, but you really don't, right?
No, correct. So, yeah, and that kind of gets into the near infrared and red light therapy, which is a huge topic that can be very confusing. So there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of it is kind of conflicting information.
I
So
agree.
infrared, you actually, it's invisible. It's actually beyond the visible spectrum, and it's a pretty wide band of light. So it can be divided into far infrared, mid infrared, and near infrared based on the wavelength. So the far infrared are the longer wavelengths. Near infrared are the shorter wavelengths that are right next to the visible spectrum. So red light and near infrared are sometimes used interchangeably because when you have near infrared, it's right next to that red light. So often you get some overlap into the visual spectrum and it appears red. The far infrared, well, all infrared is invisible, but the far infrared definitely is not visible. It does not appear red.
So it is on the electromagnetic spectrum. Again, there's that visible range, which is something you can see. So those are the colors. And then as
Mhm.
the wavelength gets longer, then you get into that invisible, and that's where you're talking about near full
Correct.
spectrum or far infrared. In high-tech saunas or far infrared. So longest wavelength, which
Yes.
also equals larger or deeper penetration into the tissue, correct?
Yeah, I mean, they're all, absorbed in some layer in the skin. But that's actually, I don't know if you want me to kind of go into the near versus the full spectrum versus
Yes,
far infrared.
I
Absolutely.
think
That's
that's huge.
actually
These
a
are the
really
questions
big
we get.
topic.
Hmm.
Yeah, we get questions about that all the time, and people get really confused. It's a big, potentially confusing topic. Infrared saunas have traditionally always been far infrared, going back decades, and there's decades of research, dozens and dozens of studies on the benefits and the safety of the far infrared saunas. It's the near infrared or the full spectrum saunas is something that some companies have been doing recently, adding the near infrared. So you have all the wavelengths. There's actually never been a study using near infrared in a sauna. So all of the studies on near infrared, there are some benefits and there are some medical applications, but the studies are all using lasers or LEDs to treat local areas of the body in very specific doses. And there are studies that show that if you're exposed to too much, it can actually do more harm than good. So these companies are kind of adding it and claiming these benefits, but there are studies that aren't really applicable to use in a sauna. So we're far infrared only at High Tech Health, and we're confident that that's much safer. It's the only type of sauna that's really been studied and proven to be safe.
Do you have any specific studies you would point people to? Most of the studies that we see are from Sweden
Or
and
Finland.
or Finland.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well, it
Finland.
might be
There's
Sweden
yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of studies on out of there's some really great studies on out of Finland, some long-term studies. There's a huge body of research out of Japan where they call far infrared saunas, they call it's called WAN therapy, WAON or WOAN, I think AON. And they're far infrared saunas, and there's a ton of studies, a research group out of Japan. Most of them, not all, but most are on the cardiovascular benefits. Tons of great studies on the cardiovascular benefits of far infrared saunas. They have some on some other things, pain and inflammation there, but yeah, that's probably the biggest body of research group, the far infrared.
So when you're talking about temperatures, you're
Mhm.
saying like 130 to 140, goal 25 to 30 minutes. How often is this daily, twice a day, a couple times a week? How often
Yeah.
do we really need to be in the sauna to see the benefits and how soon will we see those benefits?
Sure. I mean, you definitely can use it every day. We usually suggest kind of starting slow, starting at lower temps and, working your way up, make sure you're feeling good and tolerating it. Um, so the goal is to kind of be in a state of being heat acclimated. And, there are lots of studies on how to best achieve that state. If you're doing it every day, you're going to get there faster. But once you're acclimated, the research suggests about every other day is enough to kind of maintain that state. So we usually say shoot for at least 3 times a week, for the full benefits. You're still getting benefits if you're, missing days, missing weeks even, but ideally you want to shoot for at least 3 times a week to get the full benefits. You definitely can use it more.
And I think that some of the studies with regular saunas would compare like a 1 time a week, at like say,
Hmm.
I think it was
Hmm.
like a 20% reduction, but then if they did it more times a week, it would significantly
Hmm.
go up to almost like a
Yeah.
60%.
Yes.
So, again, it may be related to more benefit if that's what you're,
Mhm.
but again, the overall health benefits, period, for de-stressing and
Yeah.
detoxing
Yeah.
and
Cardiovascular
yeah, cardiovascular and cognitive
Hmm.
and
and growth hormone production.
correct. So,
Yeah.
do you have any studies that actually, because again, obviously, saunas
Hmm.
and heat help
Hmm.
hormone production, and growth hormone is a huge one.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so, do you have anything that looked at infrared specifically in growth hormone or hormone production?
Don't off the top of my head, I can't
And
think of one on that, but I mean, I could dig for it, but
well, and I think again, to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I like to dummy things down for my
mm,
own purposes because,
mhm,
there's a lot of stuff up there and sometimes,
yeah,
it gets a little much. But so I look at like sauna versus infrared, all the studies, there's no safety concerns with
mhm,
either. And
mhm,
there's lots of health benefits. And to
yeah,
me, and this is where I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong, I just look at them as infrared is a longer wavelength and the heat and penetration of that energy is deeper into the skin. So if they're looking at red light, it's more superficial or like you said, local treatments. And then sauna and infrared are both going to heat and have
mhm,
benefits. You just
mhm,
might get a deeper penetration and it's more comfortable because even though you're getting a deeper penetration and all the benefits without any safety concerns, you don't have to go as high or get as uncomfortable when you're doing it. Would that be
yeah,
a simple way
yeah,
of putting it?
basically, it's sort of a more efficient way to heat your body than, versus where a traditional sauna where it's just the air is hot and that heat is kind of being transferred to you. The infrared, yeah, it's absorbed by your cells, so it heats
Mm-mm.
you directly. It's basically a more efficient way to heat you. Um, a lot of the benefits are going to be the same. They come from heating
Mm-hmm.
your body. So, and it's kind of hard to tease out, when you're doing studies on infrared. It can be hard to tease out kind of what
Mm-hmm.
is from the infrared itself and what's from the temperature. There's one study that does seem to suggest that there are some benefits of the infrared that are independent of the heat, and that showed the release of nitric oxide from the
Mm.
endothelium, the lining of your blood vessels, which is really important for cardiac health. It basically allows your blood vessels to dilate. So, controlling blood pressure, which is kind of the root of a lot of cardiovascular problems, is high blood pressure. So there's a study showing that infrared does appear to help with the release of nitric oxide independent of the heat. It's a separate mechanism for that. So that might be
Hmm.
one benefit that traditional saunas don't have as much of.
I
They
like
do, but
that. Well, nitric
I hadn't
oxide
seen that.
is a huge, topic
yeah.
for us too, just for sexual wellness.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Blood vessel health, muscle health,
Mm-hmm.
erection, stuff too. So
Mm-hmm.
the nitric oxide production decreases with age. So does growth hormone. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you get
Okay.
both of them.
Lots of studies on promoting angiogenesis, the growth of new blood vessels. So yeah, lots of evidence that it helps a lot with just blood flow, circulation in general.
I always like to clarify because I get a lot of questions in one. I feel like this is somewhere on the internet lately because within 1 week, last week, I got two
Mm-hmm.
questions on concerns with angiogenesis and some peptides. The issue, and just healing peptides. The issue is that when we're talking about angiogenesis or blood vessel growth, with regenerative treatments, or obviously the benefits of infrared or saunas, it is talking about increased blood flow, a healthy blood flow, not that it's
Mhm.
making blood vessels grow where they shouldn't grow. So,
No, it's
I
production of
mean,
new blood vessels.
correct.
Yeah, no, it's not dilating your, well, I mean, it does to an extent, but no, angiogenesis is production of new
Creation.
capillaries. You're getting
Yes.
new healthy blood vessels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has anyone asked you? I mean, it was like two patients within 1 week that were like, well, that the concern is we're going to grow new blood vessels and we're going to get bad things. And I'm like,
It's
no,
got to
no,
be
you're going to
something
get good
showing up
things.
sponsored on Instagram or something.
Yeah. I feel like it was,
Because
Circulation is generally always a good thing.
yes, correct. Increased blood flow is good. So,
what about infrared sauna or working out in saunas, right? This is a newer trend that we're seeing more and more of, and it seems to have kind of
There's a
improved those
ton of
benefits a little bit.
research on fitness benefits. Yeah. I mean, it definitely helps you recover faster, helps your muscles kind of repair and recover after a workout. But lots of studies too on just performance, increasing endurance. There was actually, they showed that they've done a lot of studies with mice and saunas and exercise. One of my favorite studies, they ran a group of mice on a treadmill. It was 30 minutes, 5 times a week for 3 weeks, something like that, or maybe 3 times a week for 5 weeks. And then another group of mice, they put in little mouse saunas for the same exact amount of time. The mice lost the same amount of fat with just the sauna, no exercise, compared to the mice that ran on the treadmill. So it increases, and the way it did, they looked at the way it did that was increases the mitochondria, which are the organelles, the part of your things in your cell that turn energy
production,
into work. So it increases endurance and it increases the use of it. Basically, you're resting metabolism. You're turning more fuel into work, burning more
So
fuel.
those mice that were put in those little mini mice saunas, they weren't
Mhm.
running. They were just in the
They were
sauna,
just sitting. Yep.
just
They're
sitting there while these other little
just
mice were
relaxing
running
in the
around.
sauna. Yep. And you can have the same kind of fat loss, weight
I
loss.
love that. There you go.
so there's
Dr. Durst,
yeah,
just sit in your
correct.
sauna.
Just sit in the sun. Well, there are studies to support, and again, I don't know if it was just infrared, but in saunas that it mimics moderate activity. So for those people that aren't as active or immobile or can't get active, or just to slowly work them up to more physical
Mhm.
activity, it actually
Mhm.
mimics it, moderate activity. And
Yeah. So I
so,
mean, doing both, you get kind of double the
correct.
benefits. But if you're unable to exercise for various reasons, injuries or illness, there's a lot of the same benefits
Yeah.
from just.
Yeah.
Even on my fitness watch, when I'm in the sauna for like hot works, right? Doing a little
Mhm. Mhm.
small workout for a short amount of time in sauna,
Mhm.
my activity level is a lot higher. My stress on my body increases significantly just from the strain of the heat and the body
Yeah.
temperature base.
Yeah.
So we actually do, we have Hot Works here, which is the fitness facility that has infrared, and you get in the infrared saunas and work out. And I, I have trouble doing a regular sauna versus the infrared, quite frankly, but it's probably because I have a high tech sauna in my basement and love it. And I love the heat. And I love the
Yeah.
fact that you can work out at Hotworks, and it's a 24-hour and it's an infrared. It was two benefits where your flexibility is much better too, because you can go
Yeah.
way early or late at night.
Or if you don't want to work out, you can just go
You can go
sit in
just
their saunas,
rent the
rent the
room.
sauna, rent the
I
room
rent the room
at hot
sometimes,
yoga.
just go in, yes. Well, Hot Works, yeah. In hot yoga too. I mean, I just sit in there and do my own thing, but I still work out, but it's still. But the thing that I would like to share before we ended this is like what makes high tech, like
Mhm.
in my opinion, the medical grade, but higher quality than most infrared. People are looking for an infrared, and there are benefits to high tech that I would like you to speak about, because I think that's important when they're making that purchase decision.
Because it
Yeah,
played a role for
absolutely.
you. I said it played a role for you.
Oh,
It's
it
why
played
you
a huge
purchased
role for
them.
me, yes.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
love my sauna. And we're building out a new office, and we're going to have an infrared and high tech sauna there too. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, lots of things. We're really designed for health. We don't cut any corners. We very careful with all the materials we put into it. Sorry, my cat just jumped around.
I know we're being entertained. We're
That's all
entertained
right.
by the cat, yeah.
We're as low as you can get in the EMF, which is another huge topic, but that, infrared saunas can be high in EMF, electromagnetic fields, which, are shown to have some negative effects. And we actually have a patent on the technology that virtually completely eliminates both the electric and the magnetic field. So that's not an issue in ours. Something that really makes us different is our heater design. So most infrared saunas use a carbon-based heater, which are the big black panels that cover the whole walls. Our heaters are pretty unique. They're a stainless steel rod with a polished aluminum reflective backing. So they're a high-grade metal. They're much more powerful than the carbon heaters. The carbon heaters run around 200 degrees. Our heaters run around 440. So those higher temps mean they're putting out a lot more infrared. Plus then you have the reflective backing, which doubles the amount of infrared being directed towards you. So like I said earlier, in an infrared sauna, it's really the infrared more than the air temperature that's heating you. So 130 in our sauna is going to feel a lot hotter than 130 in another sauna where you're not getting as much infrared. So you get that faster heating. And then they also just last forever. I mean, we have saunas that have been running in clinics, running all day, every day for over 20 years, and they're still
Yeah.
going strong. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
And
great
even so, I think that again, from my standpoint, it was also easily assembled. So I could get somebody to easily assemble. It wasn't crazy, complicated.
It's important.
Oh, it's super important to me. And it's super
Yep.
important to a lot of people, actually, because you
Yeah,
buy
they're
something
easy. And then
and
our
then,
two-person just plugs into a standard outlet too, which most companies, their two-person requires a 20 amp
yes.
circuit. So
That was one of
it's
the
our
things we were
heaters are-
looking at is do we have to run a separate circuit for it or
Yep.
not? Or can
Yeah.
we just plug it in? And you can
Yeah,
plug
oh,
it
I
in.
have everyone in my office considering
Yep.
them now as we start to talk more and more about it. I just have been using it quietly at home. But the other thing is the wood. So, like, there's specific wood too that also is very
Mhm.
health benefit. It's not
Yeah.
going to release anything. So, maybe comment on that too.
Sure. So, and we use 100% solid wood. So we have two options now. We have poplar and hemlock, and whichever one, we're 100% single wood construction. So we don't use plywood, or most companies will use a cheap wood like pine for the frame, or they'll use plywood on the top of the roof, which off gases formaldehyde, especially when it's heated. So we're 100% solid wood, single wood construction. And then the poplar, the reason we traditionally use the poplar is because it has virtually no wood odor. So we get customers sometimes with multiple chemical sensitivities, MCS. They're just very sensitive to smells. And the poplar is the only thing that some people can tolerate. We do have the hemlock, which is also a very low VOC, clean, high quality wood for people that don't need the poplar, that aren't that sensitive. The hemlock's a little less expensive. It's the same, it's high quality, but it's just a little less expensive for us to get. So we offer that as an option. But yeah, we're extremely careful with everything that we put into them. So.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And again, I've had mine since 2017 and it still looks brand new. And so, yeah, it's awesome. So, well, thank you. Do you think there's anything else that you would like to say before we wrapped up?
I would say also that, something else we pride ourselves in is that we all are the most knowledgeable of the sales teams of any company. Everyone has really strong science backgrounds. I'm an MD by my training, but, everyone's got science degrees. Everyone's as knowledgeable on our saunas, and we love to talk to anybody about any other questions that they have about any of this.
Well, I love it. And we will actually link your website in the show notes. And I will say that I called the office the other day and just the customer service called me back based on on the missed call. So customer service is huge right now because I think you can't get good customer service at a lot of companies. And I do like that
Let
you
alone
almost
a real person.
yeah, a real
So
person.
that's awesome that
Like
they're
we
calling
missed
back.
your call, and they called back, and it wasn't because they knew me. Like they called back, which was great. You guys don't do, it looks like an online sale, so you really are going to educate when somebody wants one.
We want to talk to people, find out, make sure that we're getting them the best product, what they need, and answering all their questions. We help you, support you after you bought it. You call us with questions anytime about use, and like I said, if there's a benefit or health question that The rest of our team doesn't know. I'm the medical director. They would pass it to me, but I mean, our whole staff just is so knowledgeable on all this.
That's
And
amazing.
just some other little things about it is it does have like a little ventilation so that you can actually get CO2 out, and you
Yeah.
can have music, and you can have music. They got little stands for it. It's very comfortable. Like, so the little benefits, but assembly was a big one for me,
Well,
right?
assembly, of
I
course,
know.
always.
Yes.
Now, in my house, it'll be the fact that we can listen to music in the sauna.
Yeah.
Because,
Absolutely.
my preteen, that's all she
Yeah,
really
so-
cares about right now.
Yeah, so there's all kinds of things. But you guys are located in Boulder, Colorado. Again, a wonderful company. Everyone that you talk to is knowledgeable. The customer service is amazing, but the product, most importantly, is just top notch. So if you're looking for an infrared high tech health, is definitely the place to go. So thank you for being on, Dr.
Thank
Greenfield.
you.
Thank you for
And
having me.
yeah, and let us know if you have any comments, share your experience with infrared, any questions you may have. And again, we have a blog on our website. We'll link to two blogs that talk about it, and even HotWorks. And then we will link to High Tech here. And just let us know if there's anything else you want to talk about, because again, we're willing to deep dive into anything wellness. And thank you, Dr. Greenfield, for being with us.
Thank you.